So dear students, so in the last class we were discussing some of the basic points regarded with the animal kingdom. So in that we have discussed, the last concept was oviparous and viviparous organism. So oviparous are the organisms, they are commonly called as egg laying organism. So the egg is laid, and after the incubation of the egg, then the young ones will hatch out from that egg. So that is what oviparous. Whereas in case of viviparous organism, so the organism, they give birth to the young ones directly. So that is of ovi and viviparous. So next we'll start with the chapter anatomy of flowering plants. So this is one of the important chapter in your syllabus. So in the anatomy of flowering plant, so first we are going to study the types of tissues present in the plant. So what is tissue? We have already discussed this in the bridge course. So tissue is a group of cell. If there is just a group of cells, we will not call it as tissue. So tissue, it is a group of cell, but it has arise from same origin, but it has same origin. All the cells are arise from the same origin, and the cells are similar in their structure, as well as they are functionally, they are involved in a same function. So that group of cells, that self, it is called as tissue. So the group of cell which has arise from the same origin, which are similar in their structure, as well as they perform a same function, or all the cells, they are involved in performing the same function. So that type of group of cells itself is called as tissue. So now we will discuss regarding the anatomy. So in this chapter, first we will study with the meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Then we will study with the another concept. So let us study what is the anatomy. So in the last class, while discussing, we have discussed the morphology is a branch of science which deals with the external characteristic. Morpho, that word refers to external. So where we will study the external characteristic feature or visible characters, that study itself is called as morphology. Whereas the anatomy, it is opposite to morphology. Opposite means in the anatomy we are going to study the internal structure of an organism. Internal structure of an organism. The study of internal structure of an organism itself is called as anatomy. So in the previous class also have discussed, if I say the word organism, the organism either it may be plant or it may be animal. So in this chapter we are studying with the anatomy of the flowering plants. So in the anatomy of the flowering plants, so mainly the plant tissue is classified mainly into two categories. One is meristematic tissue, and the another one is permanent tissue. So the plant tissues are mainly classified into two categories. One is meristematic and the another one is permanent. So first we will take up with this meristematic tissue. So meristematic tissues are the tissue which are in a continuous state of, cell division. What type of division they will be involved? They will be involved in a type of division called as mitosis. Repeatedly the cells will be dividing. Understood? So meristematic tissue is a tissue which is in a continuous state of cell division. Now this meristematic tissue itself, further it will undergo differentiation. So what is this differentiation means? In simple, the dividing, the meristematic tissue, it will not have any other function. The work of the meristematic tissue means it increases the number of cells. Hence, ultimately the meristematic tissue, it helps in growth or elongation of the plant. So now this meristematic tissue itself, it will undergo differentiation. What is this differentiation means? So here there will be a normal cells. The cells, once if it gains a particular structure, and when it gains a particular function, that itself process is called as differentiation. So differentiation is a phenomena where the cells acquire particular structure and it gains a particular function. So that process itself is called as differentiation. When the cell will undergo differentiation, it will be converted into permanent tissues. When the cell will undergo differentiation, you take any cell, if it is undergoing differentiation means the cell is acquiring a particular structure and it is gaining a particular function. So then that tissues will be termed as permanent tissue. And the permanent tissue, generally they lacks the ability of cell division. So we can't see a cell division phenomena here, the permanent tissue. They lacks the cell division. But the cell division process, it is seen in meristematic tissue. And also there is one exception. The permanent tissue, during the time of secondary growth, some of the permanent tissue can regain this differentiation phenomena, or they have a ability, or they act as a meristematic tissue. That we'll discuss while discussing with the permanent tissue. So now the meristematic tissue, again it is classified into 3 categories. So first we'll take up with the meristematic tissue in the plant tissue. So meristematic tissue is a type of a tissue which is in a continuous state of cell division, and this meristematic tissue, it is classified based on its location or based on its position. It is classified into 3 categories. One is apical meristem. Next one is intercalary meristem, and third one is, so this apical meristem, intercalary meristem, so these are the meristem which is mainly involved in the primary growth, and third one is lateral meristem. So there are 3 types of meristem. One is apical meristem, intercalary meristem, as well as lateral meristem. So the word apex, wherever you come across with the word apex or apic, that word refers to tip. Where this apical meristem is located means it is located at the tip of root and shoot. So now let us take, the root is developing, the tip of the root, this tip region of the root, now let us consider this as a root. The tip of this root consists of which type of meristem? Apical meristem. And this apical meristem, which further it helps in elongation of stem, or you can also say growth of stem. And also this apical meristem, it gives rise to the axillary buds. See the axillary buds, now let us consider the apical meristem which is present at the tip of root as well as the tip of shoot, usually the tip region. ತುದಿ ಭಾಗ ಯಾವುದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ there is a presence of the apical meristem which helps in elongation of stem mainly. Next, the intercalary meristem. So for intercalary meristem, let us consider this as a stem, a part of a stem at the nodal region. So what is this nodal and internode means? Now let us consider this as a stem. So in the stem we can see one margin, or we can say one line, or from where the branches are arised in the stem, that region is called as nodal region. What it is called? Nodal region, from where it gives rise to the other branches, that is nodal region. And the space between two nodal region is called as internode. And the space between this two nodal region is called as internode. Nodal region is a region from where the branches arises. So internode is a region in between the two nodal region. That region is called as internode. Now intercalary meristem, it occurs mainly at this nodal region of the leaf base. Or let us consider now here the leaf has been arised. The leaf base is here. At this junction we can see the intercalary meristem. We can see the intercalary meristem, and this meristem, intercalary meristem, it helps in dividing the branches, or it gives rise to, we can say, the axillary buds. Axillary buds, when it is formed, it gives or it spreads out the different branches, or the branches will be divided with the help of which buds? Axillary buds. So hence intercalary meristem, it helps in width of the plant, understood? So usually branches divide agakella help agodu yadu intercalary, elongation al help madodu apical meristem. So now these two types of meristem, apical and intercalary meristem, the apical and intercalary meristem, both they help in primary growth of a plant, which mainly helps in length, understood, which mainly helps in growth in the length of the plant, which helps in primary growth. Whereas the lateral meristem, these are the meristem which occurs in between permanent tissues. ಎಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ lateral meristem? In between permanent tissue. So now let us consider this as a part of a plant, and now let me consider this is one of the permanent tissue. Let us consider parenchyma tissue. This is also a permanent tissue. In between these two permanent tissue, we can see a type of meristematic tissue. This type of meristematic tissue itself is called as lateral meristem. So lateral meristem is a type of meristematic tissue which is seen in between the permanent tissue. So as we have already discussed, the meristematic tissue itself, it gives rise to permanent tissue. But once the permanent tissue is formed, in between the permanent tissue there is a meristematic tissue. That type of meristematic tissue itself is called as lateral meristem. So now what is the function of this lateral meristem? Means this lateral meristem, it is mainly involved in the secondary growth of the plant. Secondary growth of plant. What is the secondary growth? Means the plant increases in its width. ಅಗಲ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮರ ಆಗಿ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು. ಆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಮರ ಆಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟಾಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟಾಲ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಲೇಟರ್ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್, ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಲರ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ವುಡ್ಡಾಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್. ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಆ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಗಲ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ done, or it takes place with the help of which type of tissue? Lateral meristem. So just you have to remember, based on the location itself it is classified meristematic tissue. So the apical meristem, it is present at the tip of root and shoot. Both shoot and root at the tip region we will see the apical meristem. Whereas intercalary meristem is a meristem which is seen at the nodal region. Nodal region ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ಮಿನ ನೋಡಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ಮಿನ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಾಂಚಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗೋ ಆ ರೀಜನ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ಮಿಂದು ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಲ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ನೋಡಲ್ ರೀಜನ್, ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ನೋಡಲ್ region we can see intercalary meristem. So now another very important, you have to remember the apical meristem and intercalary meristem together, it is involved in primary growth of the plant, that is the plant increases mainly in its length. Whereas the lateral meristem, it is seen in between the permanent tissues. So whatever the permanent tissue, in between two permanent tissue, if there is a meristematic tissue, that meristematic tissue is lateral meristem. Now this lateral meristem, it mainly helps in secondary growth of the plant. So in the lateral meristem, there are two examples which we are going to study in the secondary growth of dicot stem. One is vascular cambium, very important. Two words which is going to be asked in your example. Name the lateral meristem. One is vascular cambium and another one is cork cambium. Vascular cambium and cork cambium are the lateral meristematic tissue which mainly helps in secondary growth of dicot stem. When we'll start, the last concept of this chapter is secondary growth of dicot stem. So while explaining this concept, I'll ask, name the lateral meristem which is involved in secondary growth of dicot stem. You have to remember this two words. One is vascular cambium, another one is cork, C-O-R-K, cork cambium. So this is about the meristematic tissue, and the only thing what you have to remember here is the meristematic tissue is the tissue which is mainly involved in the continuous state of cell division, and it mainly helps in elongation of stem, whereas in that lateral meristem it also helps in the width of the plant. So next we'll move with the permanent tissue. So permanent tissue is a type of tissue which is arised from the meristematic tissue, by the process of differentiation. You have to remember this word, differentiation. What is differentiation means? The cells, they will attain a particular, or they will gain a particular structure and it perform a particular function. So the permanent tissue is arised from the meristematic tissue by a process of differentiation. Now this permanent tissue, now whatever this we said, apical meristem and intercalary meristem, they both give rise to primary permanent tissue. So the primary permanent tissues are arised from these two types of meristematic tissue. What are the two types of meristematic tissue involved in primary permanent tissue, or for the formation of primary permanent tissue is, one is apical and the other one is intercalary. Whereas the lateral meristem, it is involved in formation of secondary permanent tissue. The secondary permanent tissue is formed from lateral meristem, whereas primary permanent tissue is formed from apical, or it may be formed from intercalary meristem. Now the permanent tissue is mainly broadly classified into two categories. One is simple permanent tissue, another one is complex permanent. See, in this chapter, so you have to remember the concept in the form of points. So you have to note down the points. The points itself are very important. That is, we are going to discuss with the characteristic feature of a respective tissue. So at least you have to remember 4 to 6 points in each tissue. Either it may be asked for 2 marks or it may be even asked for 3 marks. So whenever you will start writing or running notes of this concept, you have to note down in the form of points. It will be very easy to read. So the permanent tissue, it is mainly broadly classified into two categories. One is simple permanent, another one is complex. So now the simple permanent tissue are of 3 types. One is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Whereas the complex permanent tissue are of 2 types. One is xylem and the another one is phloem. So this tissues we are going to study with its structure and its characteristic feature one by one. So permanent tissue are the tissue which is arised from the meristematic tissue, and the permanent tissue, they have lost the ability of cell division, and this permanent tissue are involved in specific function. So the different tissue have different functions. So that is also important. They have lost the ability of cell division. Then from where the cell division property was seen for this tissue formation, it was because it was arised from the meristematic tissue. So hence the simple permanent tissue and the complex permanent tissue are the 2 main categories of the permanent tissue. Now in the simple permanent tissue, parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, whereas in complex permanent tissue, xylem and phloem. So first we will take up with the first permanent, simple permanent tissue, that is parenchyma. Parenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. It is also called as ground tissue. Why it is called as ground tissue means the maximum part of the plant, it is covered by this tissue. Understood? Parenchyma, it is found everywhere in the plant. Understood? So more number of tissue, what type of tissue seen in the plant, and that is mainly the parenchyma. So now the parenchyma, it is called as living storage tissue. Now before going with the living storage tissue, now when the cell is called as living and when the cell is called as dead. So that is one of the concept. Now let us consider this as a plant cell which is outer surrounded by outer cell wall. Plant cell means you have to remember there will be outer cell wall. Understood? Now this plant cell, inside it will be having a dense cytoplasm. When the plant cell inside there is a matrix or there is a cytoplasm, or you can also say it as protoplasm. It contains a nucleus as well as there is a large vacuole. So when there is a protoplasm inside the cell, then the cell is said as living. When the cell, only the outer cell wall is there, but inside there is no protoplasm. Understood? The protoplasm is absent, or the cell inside the cell wall there is nothing, there is an empty space. Then that cell is called as dead. So when the cell is called as living, when it contains a protoplasm. Understood? Cytoplasm along with the nucleus, it is called as protoplasm. When the protoplasm is there inside a cell, then it is called as living. When the protoplasm is absent, then the cell is called as dead. Now here I am saying the parenchyma, it is a living storage tissue. Why it is said as living storage tissue means because inside the parenchyma cell there is a protoplasm. What is present? Protoplasm. And also I am saying it is a storage tissue because this tissue, it is mainly involved in the storage of food, or you can also say it is involved in the storage of nutrients. So first point is it is a living storage tissue. Which one? Parenchyma. It is a living storage tissue. Next, second point, the cell wall is thin. The cell wall is thin. So I will write a diagram of the parenchyma tissue. This is a parenchyma tissue, whatever I am writing. See, while writing this tissue, remember, whatever I am writing, the outer, let us consider that as this is itself is a cell wall. While writing this, the cell wall you have to write very thin. You have to not darken it, or you have to not make a thick line. You have to use the thin line. Understood? So it is a thin walled cell wall, and very important, see, in between the cell, in between and the erad cell in madhyadalli, in between the cells we can see a space. That space is called as intercellular space. Intercellular space. Thin cell wall with intercellular. See, don't get confused the word inter with intra. Inter andre in between. Erad cell in madhyadalli nodi, we can see a space here. Kali jaga kanutte cells in madhyadalli, erad cell in madhyadalli. Illu space ide, illide. So this space is a characteristic feature of parenchyma cell. So we can see a large intercellular space. Understood? So the cell wall, it is thin and it has a large intercellular space, and I said it is a living tissue. Inside the cell we can see a large vacuole with a nucleus. Whatever I have written here, this is vacuole, and the dot here it is written, it is nucleus, because the plant cell, it contains a large vacuole. Large vacuole with a nucleus as well as dense cytoplasm. Dense cytoplasm. So this is vacuole. See, wherever you write the diagram for any of the tissue, the labeling is very important. So in biology, if you write only diagram and if you have forgot to write the labeling, then that unlabeled diagram, it won't carries any marks in the examination. So the labeling itself is very important for the diagrams. Understood? So be careful while writing the diagrams. Immediately after writing the diagram, you have to label the parts. Nucleus, and the space is called as intercellular space. And